I hate minimalism. That's not my vibe. I want to feel like a wizard who is surrounded by the collections of his many adventures.
Well, hello.
Hi there.
So for those of you who know me, you might know that I recently moved within the last few months, and if you didn't know that, where the hell have you been, Loca? Living your life? Not chronically online? So if you do have a social life, I will give you a quick recap. My family and I moved to Colorado in December. We sold our house, packed up all of our stuff, and yeah, so now we are here. We are currently staying in Colorado Springs in an apartment, but soon we will be moving to an actual house, which will be great because if you've ever tried to live in a 1,000 square foot apartment with multiple adults and animals, it is not easy. But in the meantime, before I completely have to repack everything, when I say everything, I just mean a few bits and bobs that we didn't keep in storage, I thought I would show you guys around my old digs, my old crib. What was that show? What was that show called, Poppy? She doesn't know. She wasn't alive. It was like an MTV thing. So yeah, I thought I'd show you guys around my old house using the real estate photos. Are you okay, miss? You gonna throw up on me? So yeah, I thought I would show you guys around my old house using the real estate photos that used to be on Zillow. Now they are no longer. I initially didn't give you guys a whole house tour because like most of my channel took place in the spare bedroom, which I commandeered as my craft room, and you know, privacy and all that stuff. Now that we're out of the house, I thought I may as well show you guys around, and with a twist, because I also mentioned this in a previous video, but we didn't sell our house to like a normal buyer. Since we were a little bit desperate to get out before the new year, we did take a lower offer to someone that was planning on revamping the house, which was fine because we weren't getting a lot of offers anyways. So in addition to showing you guys photos that I took of the house when we put it up on the market, I'm also going to be showing you guys the current listing photos because the house is back on the market. Now, some ground rules. I'm not going to be showing the front of the house, and I'm not going to be sharing the address. Even though I don't live there anymore, I still want to respect the privacy of the current owners and the potential future buyers. Second of all, there's a few things I want you guys to keep in mind. When it comes to my photos, I'm the one who took the listing photos. I am not a professional real estate photo person. I do have my gear that I use for vlogging and fantasy photos, but I am not a real estate photographer. I'm also not a professional stager. I did clean up the house and like kind of zhuzh things up a bit, but be kind to me when you look at my photos because they're not profesh. And the other thing is that when I show you guys the current listing photos, I want you guys to keep in mind that yes, they're a bit plain, but when it comes to selling houses, especially when it is someone's job to buy properties and flip them, I try not to use the word flipper because I feel like they did a nice job and flipper has like a bad connotation. Just keep in mind that there is a specific aesthetic that statistically sells a house better. So I know that the whole minimalism isn't really our style, or at least my audience's style. So also be kind in the comments because these people are trying to sell the house. It is not lived in. It was professionally staged, professionally shot, and you kind of have to go for a cookie cutter aesthetic when you're trying to sell a house, which is probably why I had issues with getting people to want the house because I have a very specific aesthetic. My family has a very specific aesthetic, and we were living in the home at the time when we were trying to sell it. Is that all the disclaimers I want to put out there? Yes, be kind in the comments, both to me and to the current owners, and that's it. Okay, so I gotta find my phone. Threw it on the floor. I was using my phone to help me, Inception. I was using my phone to help me film as a monitor, but I kind of need my photo app. I should have got my iPad, man. Professional. Starting in the living room. We're gonna start with my photos and then we're gonna go to the new photos. This is just an overview of the living room. Yes, it's a little bit knicky-knacky. It's a bit cluttery, but that's just how I roll. Y'all know this. My audience knows this. Poppy knows this. As you can see in the original photos, there is a very warm, almost like a red-brown flooring in there. And if you switch over to the listing photos currently, you'll notice a nice, more of a beige or like a light creamy brown wood floor in there. And before you guys get all mad that they took out the original hardwood floors, you'll see why they did that. So I think this is a really good aesthetic to go for a flipped house because I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but a lot lot of flipped houses these days are gray. They don't seem to be going for the gray aesthetic for this house. I lived in a flipped house and they would usually go for like the gray fake wood floors. This is more of like a sandy brown. So it's a neutral, but it still has potential of bringing warmth. When they were going for their like neutral aesthetic to help sell the home, they tended to go for more like the black and whites with like splashes of beige. Yes, it is like millennial grayish, as you guys like to call it. But again, when you're trying to sell a home, you need it to be a little bit more cookie cutter so that people can envision themselves in a home. And if the decor is too busy, it can really turn people off from the home. Again, that's what we ran into. I tried my best as things were going on to kind of minimize things, especially as we were packing. Obviously, if you end up attracting a buyer that has a similar aesthetic to you, that may not be an issue. Like, let's say we attracted a vintage loving fantasy, whimsical loving girly pop. We probably would have sold the house sooner, but in our area, it's a lot of older people, a little bit more conservative. And then as you can see, they took out the ceiling fan and replaced the vent. There used to be like a round vent in there. It was like an older one. And then they also took out the popcorn ceiling, which I knew they were going to do. We kind of like talked with the contractor that they had a little bit, and he was like, yeah, this is what we're planning on doing. So we kind of like knew what they were planning on doing when they were doing like their walkthroughs and stuff. And one thing that happened when we first moved into this house years ago was the bowl to the ceiling fan fell and broke, and we never got around to replacing it because and it didn't really affect anything. It's just, you know, aesthetic. We had issues with the pull chains always breaking off, and then we had like the actual sliders that you could use to like dim the lights and change the setting of the fan. So it wasn't a big deal, but then those broke in the bedrooms. In the living room, they were still a bit more sturdy and we were able to use it there. But so yeah, those are the key differences that I'm seeing. And again, like, aesthetic is different, but you kind of have to have that like cookie. I keep using the word cookie cutter. I need to find some adjectives. You need to find a more blank canvas that can help people envision themselves and their unique styles and tastes in your home. And if you choose decor choices and colors and all of that that are a little bit more subdued, it helps people see themselves in that home, if that makes sense. Okay, so the reason why they took out the red wood floor is because if we switch over to the kitchen, I'm going to show you guys the original kitchen, which I hated, and then I'll show you guys the updated kitchen. So when you're kind of like going down the hall from the entrance into, well, there's like two ways to get into the kitchen, by the way. But if you're coming from like the living room, the hallway, and then the living room and then the hallway, I should say, while I'm confusing myself, you kind of go into like the little breakfast nook area, and then you round the corner, you end up in the kitchen, which then leads you back to the front door. It was a very tight space, and we never really knew what to do with it. It had decent storage, but it was very tight. You couldn't have more than one person cooking. The dishwasher didn't work. We didn't have an exhaust fan, even though we had like the above microwave. It was never ducted, and we should have had that done when we had the attic redone and all of that stuff. We just didn't think of it because they replaced all the duct work. Yeah, also you can see like my patchy paint job from when we first moved in. I didn't do a great job. What is that? Because the lighting sucked. We actually brought that light from a previous house, and there was like a very orangey light in the kitchen. It was hell on earth to cook at night before we changed that light fixture. I couldn't see. I felt like I was blind as a bat. So as you can see, the floors were black. The counters were black. The backsplash was dark. It was like this brown and green and black. I actually painted the cabinets when we first moved in white because they were brown. So like everything was dark. Then you had the dim light. Again, you couldn't see. You're just walking into crap. So that's why I painted it white, so I can bring some more light into things. And back then I was a bit more into minimalism because we had just come from a grayish house. So I had learned to decorate a grayish house. So all of our furniture was white and IKEA. So I was like, oh yeah, it'll match. But also just because we needed some light in there. I mean, I like a good dark, spooky space. It just wasn't giving dark in a spooky way. It was giving dark in a depressed way.
I have crippling depression.
Yeah, no matter which way you looked at it, it was just like a tunnel. It felt like a dark tunnel. I mean, of course, when you look at the breakfast nook, I made it cute. I had my plants. I had my fox cookie jar. I had a mid-century modern china cabinet, which was left over from when I was super into mid-century modern decor. Also, you'll see, if you remember the coffee table, we DIY'd that coffee table. And that too was from that era, the 2020 era. And then you can see my like busted ass ceiling fan. We never used that light. It didn't provide much light. And then the ceiling fan was loud, so it was just there. And then I had my cute little curtains, which I think I left behind. I don't know if I took them. We left a lot of the drapes, which of course they probably threw away. Here's the tight hallway, which this is going to be relevant in a minute. This is the hallway coming from the front door. So as I said, it was a circle. So you came in and then you went down a hallway and then so you could go into the kitchen 2 different ways. Let's first look at the view of the kitchen from the living room. So looking kind of from where the TV is, look, they took that wall out and they made it more of an open concept kitchen. So there is a stove hood for exhaust, which I really wish we had. And then it looks like one of those electric stoves. They moved the fridge over to next to the garage door. Now, my one critique is that now there is a lot less storage, I feel like, or maybe there's like really good storage within that island. The kitchen definitely feels like there's less to it, which probably helps though with feeling like you're being closed in. Because they took that wall out, the breakfast nook does feel a bit more like you have a bit more of the breakfast nook. Another thing was that separation of the 2 different floors. We couldn't really move our kitchen table beyond that window, but now that it's all one cohesive floor from the kitchen to the living room, you can kind of push that breakfast nook out a bit. And then there is room between the garage door and that window, that back wall there, to put a china cabinet. So if you wanted more space, you could put the china cabinet there. I know, because that's where I put my china cabinet and where we had excess storage for like dishes. We had a little liquor cabinet going on, even though we don't drink. We had our fine china and stuff like that. Again, no complaints. It's not my style, but it's a lot more functional because you can kind of get around. And then if you have multiple cooks in the kitchen, you're not going to run into each other and get mad. And then this plays into why they replaced the floor, at least in the common area, because since they took that wall out, there was going to be that gap where the floor would be. And I know that this is why they replaced the floor in there, because they specifically asked us if we had any extra of the flooring, hoping that maybe we were the ones who put that floor in. But unfortunately, the floor came with the house. It might have been the original flooring. So we didn't have extras of the flooring. So they opted to replace the floor in like the main area, but then you'll see the floor is still there. The beautiful red wood floors, you'll see where it's at. And then there's like a little bit of a bar too, so if you wanted to add bar stools, you have that. But if not, you can add a little bar cart there. From this view, you can actually get a really good view of the entryway. This is our entryway, and I did do a video where I kind of zhuzhed it up, made it more cozy, and actually decorated it. One of my favorite videos on my channel. I did keep the decor and the furniture from that DIY, so you guys will be seeing that stuff in our future like move-in process. And then I do notice that they did replace the 2 light fixtures. Now, ceiling fan was busted, and then you have to have them match. All right, so let's go to the master bedroom. So the master bedroom was a little bit of a trip. It was kind of small. We had this big ass bed that I love. I'm so excited to have it in a bigger room so I don't freaking stub my toe on the corner constantly when I'm getting up to use the bathroom. I still probably will, let's be honest. Actually, more than stubbing my toe, I would hit my leg because like the corner, that like sharp corner was right at thigh level. So I like forever had bruises all over my thighs. I kind of got in the habit of like reaching out at night and like just like feeling for stuff, but I still smacked the hell out of my legs. You guys can kind of see my vibe, my decor choices. We still had our IKEA furniture in there a little bit. I don't know if I have a view of the dresser. We got rid of most of our dressers and our nightstands. I have a nightstand over here that I thrifted that I was using in my office for my like lenses and stuff, but now it's permanently going to be a nightstand. We just have to find one that matches or at least goes with. I'm not a matchy girl. I'm a coordinate girl, but I feel like it goes pretty well with our bed frame. So I'm pretty excited for that. Future thrifting content coming soon. And then if we want to compare, obviously the decor choices is very different. It's very much like the rest of the house. You have a lot of whites, creams, beiges, and then the floor is still there, the redwood floor. So if you're someone that likes warmth in your decor, you still got that warmth. And I love that they didn't make the rest of the house gray, but then leave the reddish brown floors, because then that would have been cohesive. I feel like the overall theme of the house is pretty cohesive. And that's what happens when you hire a staging team as opposed to just like putting random bits and bobs. Now that I've like been house hunting for a long time, I can recognize a staging job versus a lived-in, but you just kind of like zhuzhed it up kind of job. It's pretty obvious because all of the stuff is from Home Goods and Marshalls. One thing that I really love that they did, which if we had lived in that house longer, if we never moved, I would have done. Now, I don't know how y'all feel about barn doors, but I was like going to put a barn door on that bathroom door. And the reason for that, the reason why you have to do that is because that is the smallest master bathroom I've ever seen. It's so small that when you sit on the toilet, your knees are touching the wall. Even if you're short, I'm 5'4". I can't imagine someone taller than me trying to use that toilet. I can, my husband. He's 5'9", and even he had to like shimmy in there. We mostly used the toilet in the other bathroom, the place where we showered and brushed our teeth. And even then, we had to like slide in to get to the vanity. And if you wanted to get into under the sink, you couldn't really. You had to like shimmy in a way. So that was fun. And as you can see from our photos, we used a curtain. And the reason why there's no door there is because there was no room for a door to swing in and no room for a door to swing out. And there was no way to like put the bed in a different way so that it could swing out. If there was a door there, it would have hit the bed. The barn door was genius. I was actually looking at barn door kits and like finding a way to make it more like fantasy medieval and not so much like farmhouse tradwife-esque. So I'm glad that they did that. So like if you are a fantasy girly and you end up with this house, make it look like the door that Aragorn, that one opened this way, but you know, make it look more fantasy, like tavern-y. Make it maybe a darker color. Add like a really cool door knocker. That'd be fun. And this is also for not if you get my specific house, but if you have one of these doors in your house and you think it looks too farmhouse chic and that's not your style and you want it to be more fantasy, because you follow me, you're subscribed to me, so of course you like that stuff. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with what they did with that. And I also want to know what presets they used, the photographer used, because the floor doesn't look nearly as red. I tried my hardest to make it look less orange red in the photos. I used Lightroom and it was a hell of a job. A+ to the photographer too. You probably had light boxes and I just have key lights from streaming and video. So yeah, not much to say about the bathroom. They did replace the vanity, which needed to be done anyways. The sink was atrocious. They did take out the medicine cabinet, which is a choice. I mean, it was kind of beat up, but having a medicine cabinet is kind of nice because it's more storage. It is really hard to get into any vanity in that bathroom because, like I said, the wall is right there. Like, you can't tell from the photos, but the wall is right there. There are drawers, which is nice because you can like stand next to it and open it. It looks like they updated the shower, which is really nice. Let me show you guys. So the shower was very orange. The style was very Tuscany throughout the whole house. When we first moved in, the walls were orange and yellow. So there were like reminiscence, there were little sprinkles of that left over, like especially with the tile work. And it looks like they might have done, I don't know if they sprayed that or put in a whole new unit. It looks nice. Since we're on the subject of bathrooms, let's look at the bathroom. So originally, it used to have a pedestal sink and no medicine cabinet. So there was absolutely no storage in that bathroom. There was a little cupboard right outside the bathroom, but if you're a girly pop and you need to use tampons or pads, you need to have access to those. So having at least under the sink or medicine cabinet is ideal. So we ended up replacing it with this very small vanity, but it was just enough storage so I could keep the essentials down there. And then when we moved in, we got, I think we thrifted or we were given this like shelving situation. Not the best, not the prettiest, but it was at least a place to put my skincare because again, the other bathroom didn't have room. So I had to do my stuff out in this bathroom, which is why you'll see like more decor and more whimsy in this bathroom. Speaking of whimsy, I think you can kind of see it. I wish I had taken this shower curtain with me. I think I left it, but it's super cute. It is on Amazon. It's very cheap, not the best quality, but it was cute. Now, if we're gonna go over to the remodel, much like the other bathroom, they did update everything, made it more cohesive, more white. Again, we're not gonna knock the choice of making everything white because it's a blank canvas for buyers to put their own spice into. And it looks like, just like with the other one, they did update the tub and shower. They did remove the removable shower head, which was fine. It was getting grimy, but if you were to move into this house, I would suggest one of those shower heads because they're very convenient and also great if you're washing your dog. They got rid of those nasty tiles that I hated that I wanted to eventually replace if we had continued living there. There was like mold growing on the grout and I was forever scrubbing it, but it looks like, again, it's that updated, more like plastic vinyl. I don't know what is that. I don't know construction stuff. Educate me in the comments. They also replaced the sink, it looks like, and the vanity. Again, it's a good blank canvas. What are you gonna say? Now, I'm not going to show you guys my brother's room, but I will show, well, I'm not going to show you the pictures that I took for his privacy, but I will show you the updated photos from the listing. So it looks like they just made it an office. It was your, stereotypical bedroom, not very big, which is why I'm very excited for my brother for this new house because he gets a bedroom and an office because he works from home. He's a software developer. So he has a bit more space, which is amazing. Now, what I'm really interested to show you guys is the garage, which is really interesting. So we ended up converting the garage when we all moved in together because we needed more space. My husband at the time also worked from home and he needed like an office space. He also made cosplay. We also needed to put his gaming stuff somewhere. So we converted the garage. It was supposed to be like a temporary conversion. So if we sold the house, they could take that wall down and it's a garage again. Yes, we had put down some flooring, but the flooring could have been taken up really easily. That was the whole vibe around it. We also used it for storage. So my brother got these like industrial racks to like put stuff on, and then he got like a really big freezer since there was multiple adults in the house making multiple meals. He did end up getting a freezer a lot bigger than we actually needed. He did not realize how big it was when he ordered it, but it was great. We actually utilized it, and so that was like kind of the situation. My husband, he hung his pictures on the walls, the stuff that he got at conventions. He put up LED lights. It was nice and cozy. We didn't have a couch in there, and those chairs were not very comfy, but that was fine. I never really spent that much time in there. I would like walk on my treadmill in there while watching him game, but that is pretty much it. I'm scooching up because I'm not sure if my dress is riding up. But interestingly enough, one thing that we ran into was that people were not keen on the conversion. They didn't want to have to go through the work of having to reconvert it. Most people want a garage. But the people who bought it ended up completing the conversion. I got confused because I was like, where's this second living room? Oh, it was the garage. So in the garage, they have a sectional and a few sitting chairs. So this is like a family room for people to just like sit and hang out, maybe a game room. They actually moved one of the ceiling fans from the bedrooms to the garage, which I thought was a really interesting choice. I did notice that they replaced the light fixtures in the living rooms with just like the same ones that they have in the rest of the house, but they actually put the ceiling fan in the garage. And I know why they did that. It's because the garage is not part of the HVAC system, obviously, because it was a garage. So that would help with the airflow of the room. It is a pretty large room since it's a 2-car garage. And I'm not sure, I think they might have replaced the floor because we did have extra tiles for this, but like the junk removal people, they did take our extra boxes of flooring accidentally. So they might have had to because they did put up a wall, you guys will see, and they also extended the step. So I'm guessing they completely replaced the floors with something similar. So one thing that I thought was really cool was they actually built a wall around the laundry area and made it like a separate laundry room. It was kind of an eyesore in like our secondary living room space to have, or living room space, gaming room, to have like the hot water heater and the washer and dryer. We did what we could, but we did a quick little revamp of that room. I mean, originally when it was just a garage, the drywall was kind of falling down and then like not everything was properly sheetrocked. So we did get like a lot of stuff really fixed up and done. But other than that, we kind of just rocked with it being a little bit kind of garage, kind of not. But they completely went all the way. So they took down the tracks for the garage door. And we knew they were going to do that when they bought the house. They'd mentioned that they were interested in finishing the conversion because that means more square footage, and more square footage means that you can sell it for more. So yeah, I thought that was a cool choice and I like the result. last but certainly not least, we get to see what my old room looks like. And it looks like they did not stage it, so there's not really a lot to compare to. The only thing of note is that they did take out the ceiling fan and just put in like a regular light fixture. But if we want to go down memory lane, we can look at old photos of my old room. Now, I did do a pretty big cleanup of this room before I took photos. My room is always chaotic. It's always a freaking mess because that's where I do all my crafting. It's where I do my vlogging, my outfit videos. I completely maxed out that closet and I had a clothing rack. And obviously, I'm sure people saw this room and were like, what the hell? I'm excited to get my room all set up again. I'm hopefully gonna have space to have my own little filming area again and crafting area. But I did get rid of the little cabinet that my sewing machine was on, but do not worry, I went to a good home. I actually gave it to my friend Sarah because she's decorating her house in like a mid-century modern style. So she's gonna be getting great use out of that. Not as a sewing desk, but she's actually gonna be using it, I think, as a bar. I did also get rid of my clothing rack, but I kept my chair. Now, I had another chair just like this out in the living room, but I did get rid of that one, but I just couldn't part with the chair that I sat and did a lot of my talking videos at. So I did keep that. I kept the mirror, I kept the picture, I kept my desk, and my vanity. My vanity is over here. And of course I kept my bookshelves. I spent way too much time on that. I did not expect to move so quickly after I finished that project. Yeah, of course I had to keep that. I did not keep the rug. We did not bring any rugs with us. I plan on getting new rugs at some point. I don't know, rugs can be expensive, but like I've seen some really good ones like at Ross and TJ Maxx for pretty cheap. So I plan on getting new rugs and maybe if Ruggable wants to sponsor me. I also love that they are washable, so that would be great because we have cats and a dog. Going to be dogs, hopefully. My brother wants to get a dog. Yeah, so that's the whole house. Again, I'm not going to show the outside. I'm not going to share the address. I'm sure some people will be able to find out where it is based off of using internet sleuthing, but why would you? I don't even live there anymore. I can't even stalk me. What's the point? It's pretty surreal. It's pretty trippy seeing my old house that I lived in for nearly 7 years. Was it 7 years? Yeah, nearly 7 years completely transformed and look completely different. Now, seeing the outside was also a trip. So I will tell you verbally that the outside looks completely different as well. They repainted it. They re-landscaped it. The back looks pretty much the same except for the fresh coat of paint, but the front looks very different. I think they took out the fence. They replaced the lawn, which we were planning on doing possibly if we had stayed because it was all just weeds. And that was kind of becoming an issue in the summertime because Poppy would bring in like little stickers and stuff that was like mixed in the dirt. She loved to dig. So that's the house. I hope you guys enjoyed this like kind of house tour, but also kind of where is it now? And I hope you guys are excited for future house content and moving content. We are going to be getting the keys to the new house soon. As far as I know, the walkthrough is this Friday. By the time you guys see this, it'll be tomorrow if I get this video out at a decent time. And yeah, we already have a lot of stuff packed up. I'm gonna start vlogging, so if you guys want to see vlogging content and you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button and the like button. I am gonna be documenting, what am I doing with my hands? I am going to be documenting the process of moving like I kind of have been up until this point. And of course, I'm going to be taking you guys along with me as I redecorate, or not redecorate, decorate because the house is empty, as I organize, decorate, settle into the new house. But please be patient with me because I am neurodivergent and this is all very, very overwhelming. But I appreciate you guys. I love that you guys have been rooting for us and wishing us the best and wishing us luck. Make sure you guys are following me on social media. I don't post a lot on Instagram anymore, except for my stories, but if you want to follow and keep up to date, you can. I have been posting regular updates on my Patreon and sometimes in the community tab here. So even if you join as a free member, you guys should be able to keep up to date with me. And if you have a couple extra if you have a couple extra bucks a month and would like to support me, I will greatly appreciate you for that, but it is not necessary to enjoy my content. It is just a bonus. And a big thank you and shout out to my patrons and my channel members. You guys are the MVPs, helping me put food on the table and keep the lights on. I really appreciate you. Yeah, I think I've said enough words for today. I think I'm gonna let you guys go, but I look forward to seeing you in the future. Bye-bye. As I crawl slowly to my camera. See, this is why I wanted to use my phone as a remote, because it would have been easier, would have been less awkward, even though this is the thing that YouTubers do. I could have come up with a new outro, a new thing. It could have been my thing, because everybody does this. Everybody does this. And someday I'm gonna accidentally do it so hard I'm gonna knock my camera over because my tripod is being held together by duct tape and dental floss. Anyways, have a nice day.